Well, welcome to another edition of GW Unspoken, where we discuss stuff we don't typically talk about, but probably should. And we're here talking about how to decrease our technology use in Season 5, now up to Episode 2 out of an 8-episode series, I should say. And looking out and talking to those people who are teenagers especially, and parents who, I guess, responsible for parenting those teenagers. Man, it's a tough time, isn't it? It's very hard trying to navigate this space when typically our brains are pushing back, and it's a natural reaction for teens to do that. And our lovely little children or child who, through our tweens even, were nice and gentle and quiet and receptive and responsive, now are pushing back, and we're wondering, hey, where did our lovely little Johnny or Julie go? And it's a natural reaction to do that. But I guess what you're talking about is a lack of technology. And remember, technology is not a bad thing. We use it every single day to our benefit. Lots of benefits for it, but it's more the addiction to technology. So how do we know if someone is addicted? Well, Teen Brain, David Gillespie, we just had him on the show recently, said, watch the behaviours and actions and reactions when you take technology off that person. And if their behaviours are showing forms of anxiety, depression, anger, irritability, chances are probably addicted. So can you imagine a world free of technology? I think back in the Stone Age when I was born, we didn't have it. We didn't have that much technology. I think we had TV, maybe 2 or 3 channels on TV. There was certainly no Netflix. I think we had to go to Blockbuster Video or one of those video stores. Go Video was one back then on the Sunshine Coast to go and get a movie and watch the whole thing and then rewind it. Otherwise, if you didn't take it back on time and rewind it, it'd cost you an extra $6 and you only had it for one night. You know, now we've got Netflix 24/7. If we get bored, we can turn it over or watch several series shows in a row, even without ads. So I want to ask you a question out there who're listening, and whether you're a teenager especially or an adult who's responsible for teens, whether it's be in the schooling system or in your job somehow, maybe you're working with youth, maybe you are a parent. Remember those times when you have face-to-face conversations without distractions and how much it fills your cup. It's a hormone in our body called oxytocin, called the love drug. And we get it through things like hugging, cuddling, kissing, sex, all those activities where it actually has that feel-good personal element. So you have that satisfaction of authentic connection. Now you got to do that, and you look at that now versus, searching for the next like if you're on social media. And that artificial connection now is drumming up the dopamine in both parents, teenagers, and adults' lives, because now we're feeling anxious or depressed because if we don't get enough likes, it doesn't actually hit that nice little comfortable feeling of us reaching our dopamine. Our levels, they're all out of whack. So how do we change that? I mean, I remember going to netball with my daughters a weekend ago, and I saw this probably an 8 or 10-year-old always screaming out when it was the end of the day, end of the game, and the parent took the iPad off the child who was actually watching it rather than watching their sister or brother playing the game. Obviously, it was too slow for them. So they were on the iPad, and then as the mum took it off, this toddler screamed out, or the child screamed, I want my iPad. No, mum, give it back. I want my iPad now. Give it back. And the mum's, rather than saying discipline the child, is saying things like, oh, it's okay. Look, I'm really sorry. So apologising and reassuring an 8-year-old or 10-year-old. It's okay, I'll give it to you as soon as you're in the car. And then the young boy said, you're wasting the battery, just give it here, mum. And the mother's like, I'm sorry, darling, but I promise the battery is not being wasted and I'll give it to you when you get back in the car. Since when did the parent not become the parent? It's crazy how we're now apologising for taking a device off a child even walking towards a car. I mean, we had a daughter's birthday up on the mountain and 2 parents there allowed us to have their 2 children, 14-year-olds, up on the mountain too with our daughter for a birthday, and same thing, that they would rather the child have a device just for security, whatever that means. And we become a society who's used to doing that. And it's no fault of the parent. I'm not saying that. And what I'm saying is parents don't understand, I think, or don't want to understand the severity of addiction to technology. Because if our kids are addicted to technology, especially in the teenage years, when all our levels shut off, our GABA shuts off, so we can actually have those sexual characteristics come through, our risk goes up, especially with boys, our testosterone levels rise dramatically through the roof, probably twice as much as like a 25, 30-year-old. Everything shuts off. The brain shuts off. The thinking part of the brain often shuts off because of the amount of technology that's affecting our dopamine levels. So what happens then? We actually give the device back to the child because we don't want the conflict and we think they're safe with it. They're actually not. They've got 24/7 access to pornography. They got 24/7 access to anything they want to see. And then we wouldn't give them drugs, alcohol 24/7. We would not do that. Pornography, we would not do that. But now we're giving a device where they feel safe and their dopamine levels are going through the roof just because they want that next like. It's an artificial like. So how can we change that? I've just been on a weekend away with my wife. We took the swag, went up to Iluka. We love going out there because and fish off the boat, be mindful, just be in each other's company, doing things that take a long time to hit the dopamine button. So riding around the boat, getting some yabbies. Yes, feels good because you actually, a bit of hunter-gatherer, I suppose, in there, got the yabbies come out. And then it's the thrill of the chase of trying to catch a fish. And it took a while. We were out there for probably about 5 or 6 hours. And I think we were getting 7 keepers and probably at 5 or 6 that weren't size. But it was completely relaxing. And again, keep talking about David Gillespie. He talked about how we need to now slow the brains down, give kids purpose where they actually, they actually have dopamine levels go through their body that takes around an hour or more. So things like that getting away. We saw young kids there just laughing and joking and, dressing up in their beanie and jumpers, freezing out there, probably about 10 degrees. And they're just playing with their Tonka trucks. They were actually out in the sand collecting shells. They were jumping on all the rocks out there in amongst the water, not getting wet. They're doing the basic things that we used to do to actually keep us level with our dopamine levels, not skyride through the roof, which caused anxiety or depression. Another time though, we were out there, we went to a Japanese restaurant and for dinner, at the end of the day, just thought we don't feel like cooking, let's just go out for dinner. And same thing, there was probably a mother, probably around 35, I suppose, and the child was probably about, 6. And I think there was an older daughter there, and she looked like she was about 17 or 20. And the mother and the daughter were on phones, on devices, and the 6-year-old was bored out of their brain saying, can I have a turn? Can I have a turn? And the parent was actually saying, no, sit still, you're being naughty. And you'd see the 6-year-old cross his arms, look outside in a huff, disappointed, looking in the water and annoyed because could not get a chance to have interactions with the phone, but also not having interactions with the family. And this was over dinner. This poor 6-year-old was completely neglected. You could see it over and over again. And again, I think there's those two things. Parents either don't want to know or parents don't actually understand how bad it actually is for us on devices or keeping kids on devices. So look, again, it sounds like a really negative thing, but I think we need to be aware as parents. And once you are aware, and I think once you understand the severity of addiction, again, addiction to technology, it is up to us to actually hold the line and give kids actual boundaries. So here's the tip for today. Let's call it CPR. CPR is often used when we try and bring people back to life, breathe new air, rejuvenation to someone's life. CPR today is going to stand for, the acronym is going to stand for C, consistency. Let's be consistent. Let's be consistent with our practice and also our consequences for people who use technology in a way that's going to be addictive to them. The P, predictability. Have the same thing. Be predictable in your consequences. Be predictable around the routine of using technology. R, once you do those things, consistency and predictability, it becomes a routine. Our kids, our teens will understand what that means. Teens who are listening out there, that's up to you now. It's up to you to actually have consistency, predictability, and routine around technology. And by the way, here's a little hint. Chances are you can't do that. You actually cannot do that. You need to be accountable to somebody else because technology has a way of finding algorithms and messages within messages to get us on the screen and be addicted. So it's not okay to go, oh, it's okay, I'll be able to regulate myself. Because after a while, it won't be. The automatic scroll, all those things that don't mean that it actually seeks us to go and find pleasure or reward or away from things that are dangerous, it will take its toll. So here's a challenge. Number 1, identify when you have failed the CPR test. Have a journal, write down. I suggest writing things down. When have you failed the consistency, predictability, routine in your life, whether you're a teen yourself on a device, whether you're an adult on a device, whether you're an adult actually parenting a teen. 2, make a commitment to yourself to set boundaries for yourself and for others. Monkey see, monkey do. I know that we're all busy. I get it. I know that the technology or the device can actually be a great babysitting service for your children or your teens because they are busy. They are not distracted or distracting you, especially when you've had a hard day at work or you're still trying to work. You need to set those boundaries. We don't want those addictive pathways set, especially as teenagers. And number 3, after 3 days, jot down the difference, if any, once you give a detox to somebody. Now, again, Gillespie says it takes 3 months to reset our delta-phos B, the thing that regulates our dopamine. What if we had 3 days off it? What would happen? I'll tell you what happened one time, probably about 5 years ago. We left Deklyn in charge, our then probably 16, 7-year-old stepson, or my stepson. Looked after the house. No worries. Got home. Everything was spotless. Everything was clean. I said to Rach, we need to give this guy $50 just for saying, well done, thank you, it's awesome, done a great job. And then we looked around. The clothesline was pulled down because he obviously ripped down the clothes without taking the pegs off first because he's frustrated he had to do some work. The washing machine, our, I don't know, nearly $2,000 washing machine because we've got 5 kids between us, was smashed. He donkey kicked it against itself to try and close it. Must have opened back up when he tried to close it, smashed it through, his foot through it. The freezer door had another hoof mark in it because he wanted to shut it and there must have been things clogging up the doorway where the runners are. Smashed it, put a hole in it or big dent in it. The floorboards next to the oven was warped. It was a rental. It was warped. What the hell happened? Oh, yeah, I accidentally left the party pie. I had party pies. I was downstairs gaming, came back, got the party pies, forgot to turn the oven off all night. It was ridiculous. That's it. You're banned. You're banned for 3 months. 3 months, it's ridiculous. For 3 days, one of the worst guys to live with. Was upset, angry, even a bit confused, not fair, woe is me, really annoyed. After 3 days, Deklyn came back. Unbelievable. Playing with his sisters, playing with his stepsisters, helping around the house, chatting with us, talking, laughing, playing board games. It took 3 days of hell to get him back. Are you willing to pay the price out there to shut off your own technology use or also discipline those people who you're looking after, responsible for, to actually have that benefit? Are you willing to take on that challenge to see that child come back? Because if not, look at the research. What's going to happen with an addiction to technology? It makes them more prone to pornography, sex, drugs, alcohol, gambling, online shopping, all those things we try and steer our teens away from. It actually opens up those dopamine pathways. So we have a job to do to keep our teens safe. Now, look forward to talk about episode 3, more looking at teens, how we can actually assist them. But thank you again for joining us on GW Unspoken.